All right, students, rolling right into polynomials. Many, okay? Many, more than one. A polynomial is a group of monomials, different monomials. Usually they're connected by addition or subtraction, but it's a whole big group of them, several different ones. The degree of the polynomial, you actually pick the largest monomial in the group. Okay, so you have to be very, very careful. The number one mistake people are going to make is they're going to add up all of the variables of all of the monomials. No, the degree of the polynomial is just picking the largest one in the group. It's like picking the captain. Okay, you want the biggest, baddest wolf in your pack to be your alpha. That's what you're doing. So pick the biggest, baddest one in that group. Standard form is just lining them up. Most variables to least variable. So when you find the degree of the polynomial, it's often going to be the first one when it's in standard form. Order them largest to smallest in terms of the number of variables. So here's kind of a nice little chart that I took right out of the book. Okay, so there's two ways to kind of classify polynomials. Okay, you classify them by their power, and then you classify them by how many parts they have. Okay, well, how many is there, and how powerful are they? Okay, so here's a plain 6. It has a degree of 0, which we already know. Now that's called, these are some names that we're not going to talk too much about, but this is called a constant. Okay, why is it a constant? Because 6 is always going to be 6 no matter what you do to it. Number of terms, there's only one number, and that number is 6, and it's a monomial. Okay, so we're more going to do these things right here. Actually, we're going to be more like the degrees is kind of be like the number one thing we care about, and then we're going to care about the name of it. Okay, so those are the two big things. Number of terms, that's just counting. And these things are kind of linked together. Okay, the number of terms has a name for it, and then its degree has its own name. So it's kind of like here's the math, here's the name, here's the math, here's the name. Okay, 5x plus 9, that has a degree of 1 because there's a single x right here. That's called linear, because if you were to graph that, it would make a straight line. That's why it's called linear. It's got two parts. What do you mean two parts? It's got the 5x and it's got the 9. I'll start circling those things. So two parts. If you have two parts, you're a binomial, like a bicycle. Okay. So binomials when you have two parts. Anytime you have two parts, you automatically have a binomial. Okay. And then if you think, well, trinomial, well, 3, 6. Yeah. After that, once we have more than 4, I don't think we really have a name for it. We don't say like quadnomial or quinomial. We just say, oh, it's a polynomial with 4 terms. So these are the only 3 that have names. Okay. So I'm going to kind of line those up. Notice those all line up. Okay, here we go. Next one, we have a 4x squared plus a 7x plus a 3. Degree is 2. Why? Because there's the biggest, baddest wolf right there in the pack. And it's got 1 piece, 2 piece, 3 pieces, so it's a trinomial. This is called a quadratic because if you graph it, it makes a curve. We have a 2x cubed. Okay, 2x cubed, weird. It's called a cubic. Isn't that weird? Yeah, right? Degree is 3 because there's x to the 3. Now, this is a monomial. So the name of it has nothing to do with its power. You can have a 3rd degree monomial, and that's way more powerful than a 1 degree binomial. Okay, so these are completely separate categories, like your height and your weight. Those are completely separate categories. Yep, normally if you're taller, you do way more just because you have more bones, but they're not always related to each other. Okay, so there can be mixes and matches of each. You could have tall and big, tall and skinny, short and big, short and skinny, whatever, all over the place. Okay, so here right away we have, I actually think the name first, how many pieces. So right away I think trinomial, there's 3 pieces, and its degree is 4. Why is it 4? Because 4 is the biggest one. These are all in standard form, by the way. Isn't that nice? Again, the degree of the group is determined by the biggest, baddest one in the pack. So 4 is the biggest one. 4, 3, and 1. So 4 would be the degree. 4th degree doesn't have a name. Trinomial. Okay, so that's kind of how you classify things. I'm going to go ahead and this video is already getting a little bit long here, so I'm going to go and make a separate video for this part right here, but that's kind of how things get set up. Okay, so this explains it, and then this is going to be, the next video will be the actual work here in this, this little matrix that I've made right here. Okay.